Let's talk about adding color to crepe paper. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate and then discuss how to add color using alcohol inks, pan pastels, crepe or oil pastels, and then also working with doublet. So what you see me doing here in double speed is making a tulip petal that goes with the beginner tulip video that I have. And what I'm using here are petals that have been dyed with alcohol ink. Now, what you're going to see me doing in a moment is using pan pastels, which are dry pastels, and those are applied with what look like makeup brushes. And we put those on to petals that have already been shaped. Many paper florists use these to great effect. And there's no reason why you couldn't use blush or other kinds of eyeliner instead. Those are widely available and fun to use. But pan pastels have a lot of impact, and they're specially created for paper flowers. Now I'm going to use oil pastels, and I think of all of the different color techniques that I'm going to show you today, specifically for tulips, this is my favorite. I don't want to put the oil pastel near where I'm going to have the glue later, so I have avoided the base of the tulip petal. When I put my tiny twist in, I'm not going to be getting my fingers in the oil pastel too much. Although, if I wanted to, I could definitely use a piece of parchment paper to keep my grip off of the part of the tulip that I am pressing my fingers on. That probably would be a good idea. Anyway, what you're looking for is just to suggest the color. There are lots of different color patterns for those yellow and black tulips.
I made a how-to tutorial of making crepe paper tulips, and I want to show you how you can amp them up with some color. Anything that we're talking about today, of course, can be applied to crepe paper flowers of all types. So get ready and let's add some color. First, doublet paper is a wonderful choice for making flowers because it has two sides, and each side contributes something else to the color scheme of a flower. You may have noticed in the how-to video that some of the petals I put orange side facing out, and a few were placed with the yellow side facing out. And taken together, this really creates dimensionality and a richness of color just by using doublet, and you don't have to do anything else to it. Oil pastels like these are amazingly inexpensive and widely available, and they can add very rich color to crepe paper, almost totally obscuring the dark color underneath of this red, which is pretty impressive. I think, for example, colored pencils would not be able to cover this red. Now let's talk about using alcohol inks, which are one of my very favorite ways of adding color to crepe paper flowers. I use generally 91% isopropyl alcohol, and I combine it with the alcohol ink. So I'm just gonna put in a little bit. Maybe that was a tablespoon, half a tablespoon. And now I'm gonna add a few squirts of alcohol ink in this lovely pink color. And then we're just gonna apply it directly to the petals. Okay, hang on. Isn't that neat? And it looks very neon at this point, but it's not going to later. I'm gonna just set this petal aside, and it won't take it more than about 5 minutes to dry. I might also add a little bit more of the alcohol ink so I have an even darker color that I can layer in some different places. So I'll pull up one that I've colored already, and now I'll add some dribbles of that darker color. And I think it's going to look great. And whenever you use alcohol inks, make sure you open a window. Ooh, it smells terrible. Let's now talk about pan pastels. They are dry pastel, and they are often called dry paint. And I find that, a dry paint. Sounded wrong, but no, that is something that I have seen. They are pretty amazing because you can correct pan pastel errors to a certain extent with an eraser, which is sometimes not a chance that you have with other kinds of color. I like to put the pan pastel on after a petal has been shaped because I don't want to smudge it. You apply the pan pastels with a special set of brushes. The brushes are not expensive, and the pan pastels are themselves typically about $7 for a pot. You can buy sets of them for much less money. So for example, maybe like 7 or 8 for $40 or $35. I get a lot of use out of a set of pan pastels that I have that are nature and earth tones. They help me add wonderful colors to stems. I have this color with me here called Bright Yellow, and it is a terrific way of adding depth to flowers that are white. I know it seems weird, but there's a lot of green in immature petals that are white, and immature petals in general. I wish that I had a color called Hansa Yellow. I think that is really wonderful when mixed with a white petal, but I have, I believe it's called Bright Yellow, but it accomplishes what I want. I probably use pan pastels a lot less than many of my fellow paper florists, but they create beautiful effects. And you put them on just like makeup or blush. And you might be wondering, Kate, can I use blush or eyeshadow instead of a $7 tub of something that I'm only going to use for paper flowers? And I don't see why not. Why not add some sparkle or glitter or pretty blue to your paper flowers if it's something that you have available and you enjoy and it's affordable. I wanted to talk quickly about watercolor. Water and crepe paper do not get along well. So whatever you do with watercolor, you should be following the instructions of a teacher and test them out so you don't ruin anything that you've worked hard on. Watercolor accents can be gorgeous. I've seen some really amazing paper artists use something called watercolor concentrate. I've seen others use watercolor as a kind of dye. And there are many, many videos about how to dye crepe paper. But some of these techniques are good to use just with the petals themselves. I hope you enjoyed your first voyage into adding color to your crepe paper flowers. Please do like and subscribe. I am going to be doing a video on fringed tulip next. Where's my fringed tulip? Here.
Thanks for joining. See you next time.